All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Boxing Rush Hour Show, fights around the world, fightsatw.com. I have a special guest today. He is executive director and co-founder of Feet First Foundation, which was founded in 2017. His name is Sean Sharkey. Sean, how you doing?
I'm good, Abraham. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you.
As we get to talk about all the awesome things that you're doing in the Bay Area. But before we do that, I want to give the folks watching or reading the article later on or listening, so you can give us a little bit of a bio blast, right? Before
Sure.
getting into the foundation, and all the things that you did for the community. A little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in the Bay Area and real close to Oakland and spent a lot of time in Oakland with my father, who was a boxing coach. So when I tell people, the foundation started in 2017 and I start my presentation usually goes backwards to the beginning, which was when I was about 10 years old in 1970. George Foreman had won the gold medal in the Mexico City Olympics, and he moved from Houston up to Hayward and was training at a couple of different gyms in the area. But I think his main gym that he was training at was a place called the New Oakland Boxing Club, and we frequented the New Oakland Boxing Club quite a bit. And my father knew Dick Sadler, who was his first trainer, I think, his pro trainer. And then there was Archie Moore was there, and a lot of great fighters. There was Henry Clark and George Cooper and all these great fighters back then, Terry Lee. And so I got my start training side by side with George Foreman. He used to do curls with me. I was 10 years Literally, I was 10 years old. I'd hang on to his arm and I'd wrap myself around his hand, and he would like do 15 or 20 curls with me. So that was my introduction to boxing, and then I had a number of quite a few amateur fights. I never turned professional, but I always loved the game. And I jokingly say, I was more of a boxing historian than a fighter, but I did have a lot of fights. I was just never the best out there. Anyhow, so that was the beginning of it in the early 70s, and then I boxed all the way through high school and boxed and wrestled through high school, and then kind of got away from the game a little bit for a few years, and I was more of a fan than anything else. And then about 1996, I believe it was, I opened my first gym, and we called it the Martinez Fight Club, and it was a MMA slash boxing kind of a gym, and there wasn't a lot of members. There wasn't a lot of guys back then doing it. And boxing wasn't that big of a deal in the Martinez area. And it was hard to get guys coming from Pittsburgh and Richmond, where it would be an area where we'd get boxers from. So what we did, we started working with young folks and young guys. And we noticed that it was becoming a pretty popular thing. And you'd get these young guys come in the gym and work out for a couple of months, and all of a sudden, you'd hear from their parents or caregiver, whoever was taking care of them. Hey, so and so is doing much better in school, and their lives were improving, and they were staying in school, getting better grades, and all this stuff. So we kept building off that. We kept working off that, and then I turned that gym into what is now called Fight Core. And Fight Core, we moved to Main Street, and that became a pretty popular gym. And I ran that for a number of years, still have it today. We've kind of downsized it a little bit. But that gym, at one time, we had the two highest ranked professional boxers in Northern California. It was after Andre retired, and Andy Vences and Tino Avila were
Hmm.
both full-time trained fighters there. And at that point, for a short period of time, we had an article written about us, and we had the two highest ranked professional boxers in Northern California, which was pretty cool. Then they did another cool thing happened there was we were in a series, a Netflix series made by Paramount Pictures, and we were in six different episodes of a show called 13 Reasons Why. And it sounds like a sad story, but they didn't play it off as a sad story. It was about suicide, which is always a weird, unfortunate topic. But it was about suicide, and there was 13 reasons why the young girl had committed suicide. Boxing was part of this show. They had a boxer in the show a fellow by the name of Christian Navarro, really good dude. He's a high level actor, and he was one of the stars in the show. And his background was he was a boxer, so they needed a boxing gym, and they found us. So they filmed 6 different episodes, and we worked with them on technical stuff. But it was very cool, very cool. The gym was pretty well known out there, and Tino was fighting, on back then on HBO, and he fought on the Canelo Chavez undercard, towards the top of the undercard. But yeah, so it was a cool experience. But that's how that's how I've been in the game this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I mean, you've been there and done that quite a few times. Now, throughout the years dealing with boxing and boxers and the business, like, what are some of the things that you might have learned, good, bad, or both, about the industry as a whole?
The industry as a whole has always been a challenge, right? I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, from, back before our time in the 40s when the mob ran it and and to this period of time now, I'll be honest with you, even though I was very close and I was for a good period of time, I was a head trainer for Tino Avila. He was ranked number 8 in the world by the WBC. I never really, honestly, I didn't get involved in that management business part. I kind of wanted to, but I was like, I've always been the type of person that I have too many irons in the fire. I've always been that guy, and it's been a curse, I think. Maybe you might say a blessing and a curse, but it's been more of a curse because you know how that goes, man. You wear so many hats, and all of a sudden you're doing everything just okay, not
Hmm.
great. Yeah, and that's always been me, man. It's just been my personality type, I guess. Somebody wants to try something new, or hey, I'm in. Yeah, yeah, I'm in. So, but going back to the how boxing, the world of boxing and who runs it and how that goes. I never really got all that close to it. The closest I ever got to it was when Tino was with Golden Boy, and we got to go down and hang out a little bit with Oscar De La Hoya and his crew of guys. That was really fun, really exciting for me. I enjoyed that, and they all treated us great and whatnot. It's always been a weird, the promoters and now I don't even want to get started on this whole Zuffa thing. I don't know what your take is on this. I'm not a fan. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan at all. My heart and commitment is to the World Boxing Council. They're part of Feet First, and they're good people and they do good things for the sport. And yeah, so I wish I had more information and intel on that part, and I just don't. I just never got really involved with too many promoters, and I just wasn't in that part of the game. I was trying to run the gym, and I was trying to help as many of these kids out here as I can, and then train a few fighters, and I never really got into that aspect of it. But
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, being in you having a gym, I mean, I'm sure there's a variety of characters that come in there, right? Do you have any stories that stand out to you of anything that you saw or were involved with?
oh man, you know, we were sitting around the dinner table one night. And of course, something about the gym was going on. There's always something about the gym. Any gym owner, anybody that's affiliated with the gym is going to build. I'm sure all the stories are the same because I know a ton of gym owners, tons and tons of gym owners throughout California. And my wife said something to the effect of, that gym has kept us poor for many, many years. And my son said, he said, something that might be true. He said, but you don't know anybody who has as many stories as dad has about all the crazy things that have happened. And I mean, it's gone from A to Z and everywhere in between, man. I mean, it's been a ride, I don't know what it is. The boxing gym is just, it attracts either this really dedicated, committed, kind of almost introverted fighter that comes in, does his thing, doesn't really communicate very good, but it just trains hard, leaves, comes back, gives you a fist bump, and it's a daily thing. And then you get these crazy people that find us somehow. One of my problems used to be that the gym used to be on a main street of Martinez, which was Martinez is a small town, but it's a county seat. So there's a courthouse, a county jail, 2 blocks from the gym. I mean, we've had fist fights, in the gym with crazy people coming in and trying to, get physical and things like that. My gym has just always been one of those places. You do that, it's going to be on right now, right? They're not going to be no talking about it.
Yeah.
So there's always been that kind of stuff happening, and just wild stuff, man. Just wild stuff is happening still to this day. And then trainers. The trainers have always, every trainer, Abraham, thinks they're the greatest trainer on the planet Earth. Whether they have that notoriety and that publicity behind them or not, they think they're the greatest trainers in the world. So you get, 8 or 10 of those kind of guys in a gym, and you got all these A-type personalities. And I always say they're kind of like NFL football coaches. They're kind of like high, hard charging A-type personalities. You get those 10 or 12 of those kind of guys in the gym, you're going to have all kinds of conflicts and bad talk and this and that. So, I've always jokingly said I'm a psychologist before I'm even a fight trainer. I have to keep everybody in check and kind of just, keep everybody cool and going forward. But yeah, no, we've had some crazy stuff, man. It's just, I've always kind of really pushed against having violence in the gym. Obviously, it's already a fight gym. But like I said, we used to be, 2 blocks away from the jail, and these guys would get out of jail with their little bag of whatever they owned in that little thing, and then they're walking towards the bus stop, the train station down the street, and come on in. There's there's always been something.
All right, we've spoken about all of that. Let's talk about Feet First Foundation, started
Yep.
in 2017. You are a co-founder, executive director. What is exactly your role with the foundation? When did you get involved? Obviously, immediately then, and why did it feel so important to do so, to start this foundation?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. So when we started the foundation in 2017, it was already going. It just didn't have the nonprofit logo on it, right? The 501(c)(3), but it was already going. I've kept this gym going all these years to help people, help young people, or anybody in our community around here who are struggling. So we live in an area where there's a lot of underserved youth, and with that comes trauma, sometimes addiction issues, um, a variety of problems, variety of challenges. So that was always been my first avenue of people that I've wanted to help. For a while there, we were working with, for quite a while actually, we were working with young ladies who had been victimized in human trafficking.
Mm.
And so they would bring them in on like a van from Oakland, from safe houses in Oakland. And I would provide a lockdown, secured facility to put these young ladies in and put them through a couple of hours of what we called empowering boxing workouts, just to build their self-confidence and let them have a good time and forget about what's going on over there and just relax and come on in. And it was a great thing, and it went on for a couple of years. And From there, we kind of segued into working with schools, but still a population that I want to return to and help out. But yeah, so yeah, the gym was always been working with these different populations. We just put a name on it in 2017, and we started going to schools. We started putting the program in the schools. The first school we worked with was a continuation school, and by the name of Vicente Continuation, and we worked with kids who were struggling, had some challenges, and we had this great little boxing workout, and we got incredible results from it. The funny part about it is we never really knew why. We didn't know the why. We knew how. We knew the how. The how was come in the gym and work out. Come in the gym, work out, and you'll get better. That worked. Didn't know the why. And we found out the why. We started working with some psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, were all these groups of people. And we put together a social emotional learning piece to the workout. So it was and we're a contact boxing gym. It's a regular fight gym, but we developed this non-contact boxing workout for the participants, for the students. So we've got this non-contact workout, but coupled it with a social emotional learning program. And the social emotional learning program, for you and me, thinking it's just kind of like good housekeeping stuff that stuff that stuff that I know, but stuff that not every kid who's underserved in a poor community knows. And so we go over things like gratitude and kindness and how to de-escalate tense situations, how to get negative thoughts out of your brain, deep breathing techniques. We had 36 of them we developed, and 36 because there's 36 weeks to a average school year, so we had one lesson per week. But so we developed these things and we put them together, and it continued to work. The kids that were doing it before the social emotional piece had progressed the same as when the social emotional piece came into play. So we wondered, it's like, what the heck's going on? I mean, we knew that if the kid came into the gym, whether it was part of Feet First or not, came into the gym and he did the workouts, he or she did the workouts, focused, concentrated, came in every day, they would do better in school. They would stay in school. They would have less behavioral problems. They would graduate and they'd go on to have a productive life. We knew that. The majority that would happen to. So we start working back, segue backward for a second. We started working with these psychologists and psychiatrists, and somebody sits down with me one day and says, "You know what's really going on here, right?" I'm like, "No." And she says, "What's happening is it's something called neuroplasticity. You're reconnecting the neurons of the brain of these students, and they are starting to make decisions in a more intelligent manner. So they're not acting out and they're not getting involved with drinking drugs and things like that. They're not going out and fighting. They're not cutting school. They're starting to make decisions that kids that maybe haven't come from underserved communities or haven't come from trauma, those kids are making those better decisions. So these kids that were making these poor decisions get into this boxing program, and all of a sudden they're starting to make these good decisions now. And it's this thing called neuroplasticity. And it's a protein that gets released in the brain, and it's worked unbelievable. And you can look this one up with Parkinson's disease patients. There's an organization called Rocksteady Boxing who's done tons of research and one-on-one work throughout the United States and proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that boxing actually stimulates this neuroplasticity. And these Parkinson's disease patients, who we've had one or two in our gym, have made this progress too. They start having better motor skills, hand-eye coordination, motor skills, speech, everything starts to get better. It's really incredible. Same thing with the kid who has had a lot of trauma, abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, addiction problems, all these things that are bad. All of a sudden, you get them in this atmosphere, and you have mentors there that are good mentors, and you have a good social emotional program that's incorporated, and then the boxing, which stimulates that neuroplasticity. And all of a sudden, in a short period of time, a few months down the road, you start seeing these better decisions, better progress. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. And that's basically what we do. We go to schools and we have our program in schools during school where we sit down with the principal and they give us a list of maybe their 15 or 20 most challenged students. And if there's more than that, in a lot of schools there are more than that, then we might have more than one class. In some high schools, we've had as many as 5 classes a day. But a lot of schools go with like a one or two sort of a class per week sort of thing. But some schools have had us every single day, 5 periods a day. So depending on the need, but that's what we do. So we go into the school and we put on these workout programs, and we use maybe a multi-purpose room or a gym, or even we've used like portable buildings, and we've done it outside. It doesn't really matter where we do it, but It's a non-contact boxing workout coupled with the social emotional learning, and we get unbelievable progress. What we started doing in the last few years is we started to track the progress because it was important to, say it, because like you can say anything you want to say, but there's nothing to prove it. So we came up with a pretty sophisticated tracking mechanism system platform. And so the kids now go in and they do these monthly, I should say, monthly assessments where they
Okay.
answer these specific questions that track their mental health. And then at the end of a semester, it gives us a graph of how they're doing, whether they're improving, staying the same, or it could be declining, which would be a obvious red light to needs some intervention or something like that. So that's what we do now. We track it and we prove it to the state of California, who's funded us in the past.
All right, awesome, man. Now, you have this foundation. We're what is it, in March right now. What's the vision for the rest of the year?
That's a good question. Vision for the rest of the year. So, California and probably other states too have taken financial hits on education. So we've really California's taken a tremendous hit. There's, I could send it to you on the side there, the schools that I was looking up here in our Bay Area. And we've been in LA too. We've had like 12 different schools in Los Angeles, but in I was looking at some statistics of numbers on schools here in the Bay Area that are taking a financial hit. San Francisco school district is taking a hit this year of over $100 million that they're not getting. So they're going to have to close schools.
Wow.
Yeah, it's for the 26-27 school year. They're going to have to close schools and lay off teachers.
Hmm.
That's now when you're closing schools and laying off teachers, it's pretty hard to enter into that marketplace, right? That's a very challenging area. However, we still are in one school in San Francisco. We're at Galileo. I don't know if you've ever heard of Galileo.
Uh,
They're famous. One of their graduating stars was O.J. Simpson. O.J. set all kinds of records at Galileo, went on to USC, and then of course into the NFL. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough market, tough place over there. And all the schools throughout California are getting that hit. Not that big of a hit. That's a huge hit because San Francisco is a big area. Um, yeah. So our outlook for the rest of the year, we're doing a couple of things that are a little bit different that we've haven't done in the past. We're gonna be starting a women's self-defense class for Spanish-speaking women.
yeah.
And so we're in an area that has a large Spanish-speaking population,
Yep.
and so we're going to start a self-defense class for women who are interested, and it's going to be at another nonprofit location that already serves Spanish-speaking people. So it's
Okay.
just kind of like we're going to be able to walk right in and help out some of these ladies who have some need to learn some basic self-defense skills. Not normally what Feet First does, but we're kind of like, putting our feelers out there and just trying to help other people too at the same time. We're also now pushing forward for our summer school programs.
Okay.
So we do summer school programs, we do after school programs, and we do in school programs. So all three: in school, after school, and then summer programs. So we're working towards that right now. We're also in communication with Marshawn Lynch and his group. He works with another NFL quarterback, Josh Johnson. And Josh Johnson plays for the DC team. And they have together with Josh Johnson, his brother, and Marshawn, they have these clubhouses in Oakland.
Okay.
And so we're going to start putting programs together. Well, we just started this conversation, so it hasn't happened yet. But if you look on some of our social media, you'll see Marshawn Lynch hitting feet first gloves and mitts and doing some workouts with us. So very cool dude, and super excited to have to have him coming on board, and I'm hoping this all works out. Again, beginning stages. I mean, we're talking about the last week or so here. This has come up. We visited them yesterday and had a good conversation. So we'll see how that goes. I feel strongly that it's going to be a real smooth entry and help out some of these kids in Oakland. Um, the other thing we're working on right now is we're going to be doing a collaboration with the WBC, and they're going to come out to Children's Hospital in Oakland. And my niece Clover works at Children's Hospital. She's a therapist, and so she's putting together a connection between us, Children's Hospital, and the WBC. They do that. They go to these children's hospitals and they'll bring in a few of their fighters and bring in some toy belts and give them away, take pictures, shake the kids' hands, just kind of make them feel good. And these children that are real sick. So
Yeah.
that's in the makings, and that's going to be probably set for April.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's what's on the horizon.
Okay. All right. Now, lastly, I was gonna ask you if anybody wants to, contribute or donate to the cause or follow the foundation for upcoming events, where's the best place they can go for that?
So the website is the name of the organization, Feet First. And so it's Feet First NP for nonprofit.org. And that's our website, feetfirstnp.org. You can also find us on social media like uh,
Instagram.
Instagram and Facebook under Feet First Foundation. And I think we have a couple of Feet First accounts, I believe. You can also track us with the gym through the gym, which is on Instagram, is under Fight Core. And
Okay.
Fight Core spells with a K, not a C. It's all one word, so it's FIGHTKORE. On Instagram, you can find us there, and I always post whatever goes on the Instagram page. I try to post it on the Fight Core page. So
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Well, listen, Sean, I appreciate your time. It was nice to hear all the things that you got going on, and I wish you the best of luck with the foundation and moving forward and everything else for the rest of the year and beyond.
Thank you, Abraham. I appreciate you, sir.
All right. Thank you.